All right, guys, welcome to South Jersey. I'm excited to show you my warehouse and some of my house. But before we start, I start every day with an amazing bowl of cereal. Of course, it's the Ike approved cereal. Notice right there. Just to let you guys know, I'm so into this that back in 2002, I bought 10,000 units of this and I eat them every single morning to this day. I'm gonna finish this bowl of cereal, get changed, and I'll meet you out in the warehouse.
I can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, so what's up? Yeah, so what's up?
All right, guys, welcome to the shop. I'm so excited to show you the shop, the boathouse, and the rest of the compound. Let me start by saying that honestly, this shop for me is a dream come true. For a lot of my career, up until the late 2008, 2009, I worked outside. I had my stuff stored outside. I had it in storage units. I was always in the elements, in the weather. So for 20 years, I dreamed about building the perfect shop, and here it is. I'm gonna start right here on this wall. And it's funny because I wanted an area for rod storage. When I told the guy that was building the shop, I'm like, I want rod storage. He's like, oh, like a couple rods in a, I'm like, no. I need rod storage where I can house hundreds of different rods. And so we actually built rod lockers. And I had these lockers built from, a 9-foot rod all the way to a 6-foot rod, but it houses all of my different rods in action. So all the Abu rods, the Ike series, of course, the Vendettas, they're all here. Spinning, short spinning, light action, heavier duty spinning, light action casting, medium heavy casting, and last but not least, the big sticks, flipping and swim baits. And this system's great because it allows me to pull the rig in the shop, and if a rod goes down, if a rod breaks, I can just grab and go. Everything's organized. I know right to go. This is the medium heavy section. I can go right to this area. I can pull out here we've got a Veritas medium heavy. I know right where it's at, and I can keep going. So rod lockers instead of traditional rod storage, it was awesome. All right, guys, if you have rods, you have to have reels. And I designed this little area, I call it the Reel Nook. The inspiration for this was like a coffee nook, small little area where you get your coffee. But this really is a spot that houses all my reels to match to those rods. So, again, for me, it's real easy between tournaments to come back here and change, to restock, to change ratios, and all that's important. So Xenons, Ike series, and of course, that brand new Abu Garcia Beast. If I need to change on the fly, I come right here. Where my boat's positioned, it's perfect because it lines up with my rod locker and it's easy to change on the fly. So if you have rods, you've also got to have reels. All right, now, as much as I like my rods and reels, I like my baits even more. And if you've been following my career at all, you know I am a bait junkie. I'm a total tackle junkie. So the next part of the shop I want to show you is my bulk storage of my tackle, of my baits. And I've got it separated into two different sections. So the small section, really, guys, these are 2 deep of flambeau boxes loaded with stuff that I'm using day in and day out. Stuff that I'm confident in, stuff that I'm terminal tackle, jigs, crankbaits. There's crankbaits, dredgers, 17s and 20s, dredgers right here at my fingertips. And just like the rods and reels, when I come back from a tournament, I can interchange those boxes. So This is the bulk storage of stuff I'm using day in and day out. But you come over here, this big section is bulk storage of my historic tackle. And I'm a collector, I'm a junkie. And I'm gonna tell you something, and this is a little psychotic and sick, but it's the truth. Every single hard bait I've ever owned since I was 14 or 15 years old, I've never thrown a crankbait away in my life. They're all right here. Hundreds and thousands of lures from the 80s, all sitting in this historic bulk storage. So we've got hard baits, soft baits, swim baits, and I love to come out here and occasionally dig for something that I'll need in a tournament, but a lot of times I come out and reminisce about these old lures. Still a good example. This is just a box of a lure I used to use a lot. This is a lure by Mann's called a Baby 1-. This is a wake bait style lure. I don't even think they make them anymore. But one of the cool things, if you look in this box, you're going to see a color that I had custom designed by Mann's. And this was a color that when I practiced for the Bassmaster Classic in 2003, I kept seeing these sunfish that were very olive green colored and had these bright orange bellies. So I called Mann's and I only had about 24 of these baits made. They helped me win the Classic. They never went into mass production. And I've got some here in my historic bulk storage. So I'm a collector, I'm a junkie, stuff like that. I can never part with it. It's really fun to come in here and reminisce about some of those baits and some of those tournaments. And they're all stored right here in the shop. All right, I know what you're thinking. In my bulk storage area, all this stuff's a mess. How do you find anything? But actually, there is some method to my madness, and it's really organized. So everything in here, hard bait, soft bait, is organized by style, and it's labeled. That way, if I need to pick something, I know right where it's at. If I need a crawl, if I need a worm, if I need a creature, I know right where it's at. Everything's in flambeau boxes, and these boxes are specially designed to fit each size bait. Good example is this one. This is one of the flambeau bulk storage boxes, and I'm just looking at this, bringing back so many memories. And if any of my swim bait guys are watching, you know that I was involved in the original West Coast swim bait movement. Such a cool era. Involved in a skateboard style video back in the day. And I look at these Huddlestons. These are Huddlestons from the early 2000s. Like, I remember going out there and being amazed that these lures actually caught bass. Look at this thing. Original swim baits. Many of these, you go on eBay right now, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but they're kept safe right here in my bulk storage. All right, the guys were asking about what's up top. And you heard me say that I don't throw anything away. And this one says pork on it. So let's see what's in this box. I honestly can't say I've opened this in like 10 years. So let's see. Box says pork. It's looks like it's sealed. Whoa! Guys, look at this. Legit Uncle Josh pork still in the pork boxes. Look at this. This is insane. Dude, look at it. Look at like all the liquids getting dried up. So we've got, this is the 101 spin pork. So this was used for the real little tiny jigs. And then we've got, let's see, another box. This looks like, that's more, no, that's the regular 11A. And there's still liquid in these, guys. Hold on, let's see. All right, this one's been opened, but, oh God! It smells like pork! Oh God! It's still soft. Oh my gosh. Might have to break these out in the Winter League this year. Look at that. Piggy. got the liquid off my face. Look at this. Oh my God. All right, guys, this is always the focal point of the shop. People always say, you've got your very own little tackle warehouse. And I actually do. And this is my bait wall. And my bait wall is pegged baits, hard baits, soft baits, terminal tackle. And this is really the sponsor product stuff that I'm using daily. So, you know, between tournaments, I can grab more minnows. Between tournaments, I could grab more crankbaits. And it's an easy way to see what's here and change out for different events. The other nice thing about having all this stuff pegged, guys, is it makes replenishment really easy. If I look on this peg and I go, oh gosh, look at this. I'm down to one Berkeley Dime 6 Chartreuse Blue. It's really easy for me to then go and reorder and replenish this wall. So the way that I've got it set up is I have it set up by style and brand, and everything is merchandised by color. So it's almost like a little tackle store here. So all the colors are perfectly in line. Money Badger 7, Money Badger 6, Money Badger 5, Money Badger 4. Everything's in its spot. Saves a lot of time when you go to pick everything. These are my bread and butter baits, and these are my confidence baits. Speaking of confidence baits, here is one. This is the Berkeley Power Bait General. For sure, one of my all-time top fish catching lures. In fact, we've shot a separate video talking about my top 3 confidence lures. If you stick around, we're gonna tell you how you can win a boatload of all these baits. All right, if you continue down the line, you're gonna see soft baits, worms, creatures, crawls, swim baits, and then you're gonna get to sort of my wire bait and jig section. You're gonna see that mullet spinner bait, another one of my confidence lures, and of course, the missile, mini flip, mini swim jigs, all-time fish catcher for me. Just like the crankbaits and soft baits, all this is merchandised by style, color, makes it real easy to select it. All right, you got all these lures pegged. You need somewhere to put them. So I've got the Flambeau boxes lining all underneath of this pegboard. I've got everything from bulk storage to blade crates to the slim tainers, the terminal boxes, the tough tainers, all the way to the small stuff and even some big mouth boxes. So got the lures pegged up, got the boxes, load the boxes with the lures, put it in my truck, and I'm ready to go. All right, guys, this next little piece of the shop is really, really important and really a little bit of thought put into this. And this is my custom designed line spooling station. I've always been big on fresh line. Almost every single tournament, especially if it's straight mono or fluoro, I'm putting new line on every single rod and reel. So I had them kind of work with me and design this system that could hold lots of these 2,000 to 3,000 yard bulk spools, and is strategically placed right where my front deck's at on my boat when the boat's in the shop. So I can literally peel off line, attach to new line, and it comes right off the wall. So if you've noticed, I've got sort of these opposing spools and spinning reels. When I spool that in, it comes off the spool, off the top, counterclockwise, and that's the right way to put it on a spinning reel. And for a casting reel, it comes off the top of the spool with the line rolling off the top. So all that's strategic. So mono, fluoro, and of course braid. And I've even got some of that brand new Berkeley Forward, especially for that FFS stuff sitting right here. So line spooling station, very critical. And you know, this isn't really supposed to be here, but what the heck? It's my junk box. And you want to talk about organization. Look at that! All right, guys, last but definitely not least in my shop is the shop desk. And this is honestly, I would say probably one of the most important parts of this shop. And this has really become the area where I can tinker with stuff. I can modify baits. I can change colors. I can drill. I can shave. I can change things and play with things and modify. And that's been real important. Whether I'm tweaking a lure by myself or whether I'm working with a company like Berkley with a new style bait, I can do a lot of this testing right here. So, of course, I've got a vise, I've got a drill press, I've got a grinder, but I use a lot of paints, dyes. Of course, I've got my flamethrower, modify things down if it's soft plastic. And last but not least, I've got a tank, and it's not for fish, but it's to actually see some of the movements of these baits in real life, right? To see actually what it does in the water. I could see it, I could hear it, I could feel the vibration. The other thing, this might be a familiar area for a lot of you guys watching because this is where we film all the shop videos. And we have a new shop video that comes out every single week where we're talking about how to do that stuff, right? How to modify, how to change, how to tweak stuff. So this is probably one of my most fun areas, an area where it's really cool. And when I look back on the history of some of the baits that I've helped design over the years, a lot of those concepts happened right here. All right, guys, before we leave the shop, I do have to mention that this bay, this side of the shop, is my son Vegas's area of the shop. And if you look around, he's created a mini version of everything that I have on that side of the shop. So he's got his bait wall, he's got his rod and reel storage. It's pretty cool to see him following in my footsteps. But this boat right here is really, when I look at this boat, this means a lot to me. This is a 1990 Coleman Crawdad. This is my first boat. This is the boat that started this whole journey for me. And it was a high school graduation present for me at the time. This boat back in the day probably cost $500. It's polyurethane. And when I was using it, I was fishing locally, fishing club derbies for top rod Bassmasters, and really just cutting my teeth in the tournament world in this boat. Back in the day, we used to deck these things out with wood. We'd get 1/2-inch plywood, we'd deck it out. It would sit outside, it would last a couple years, it would rot away, and we'd redeck it. We'd put trolling motors on it, live wells. We were making these things mini bass boats. And if you grew up in South Jersey or the Northeast, these tiny boats were a big deal. So such a cool boat, such a cool part of my history. But when Vegas was born and when he got to an age about 8 years old, we knew that this was probably going to be something that we wanted him to have. So it was really cool that all these years later, we got to pass it on to Vegas. And this is his first boat. The only thing that we did different is, of course, we decked it out in metal. It's all metal. It's got live wells. It's got electric trolling motors that go 5 miles an hour on the back. It's got hatches, front motors, depth finders. But it's really cool to just keep that going, right? That this was my first boat. Now it's Vegas's first boat. And who knows? These things are so tough. Maybe Vegas will have kids and this will be their first boat too. So really cool nostalgia looking back at my first boat. Really, probably, all honesty, the reason I'm sitting here today in the fishing space, in the fishing world, is because of this boat. All right, guys, I want to welcome you to the newest addition to the shop. This is the boat shed. And this is an add-on, and we really wanted a space for the other boats and talking about tiny boats, kayaks, even belly boats, and really create an area to not only store the boats, but to modify the boats. So you're going to see a lot of different pieces of equipment, props, depth finders, trolling motors, stuff like that in here as well. The other cool thing about the boat shed is if you look at the walls, there's a lot of cool old memorabilia on the walls. You'll notice some of it from the old Ike Live studio and some of it just from the collection of stuff from the past. So this is a really cool spot. And, you know, of course, I love big boat tournament fishing. I love my Bass Cat and fishing professional big boat tournaments. But if you're from South Jersey, these are really, really special too. These are tiny boats. And this is what I call, these are the South Jersey kickers. And if you look at them, they're 12 to 14 foot boats. They got 9.9s on them or trolling motors only. And this is really a big thing in this part of the country. As we keep going, you're going to see something that in the last 10 years, I've really got into this world, and it's kayak fishing. And every year it seems like these things get bigger and better, and there's more things you can do with them. These are my two brand new Wilderness System kayaks, the Tactical Pro and the Recon. And I built these especially for different situations. So the Recon light, this is a river kayak. This is one I can throw over a guardrail. I can access any water with this one. It's not really duped out. And then you get over to the Tactical. This is the 128. Guys, this thing's my battleship. This is my tournament rig, trolling motor, Newport, Lowrance, power poles. This thing is a mini bass boat. This is kind of a hybrid kayak. And it's even on a custom built Fish Texas trailer just to hold these kayaks. Keep going. And just like in the regular shop, Vegas has his section too. And so Vegas has his kayak and Vegas's brand new tiny boat build. This massive 6 horsepower electric on the back. Dude, that thing is a beast. But this is a really cool area for us because it lets us continue to enjoy fishing in other ways than just the big boat fishing. All right, the home office is a strange mix of business, trophies and memorabilia, and some strange, odd hobbies. I'm sitting behind this big giant desk. This is actually Becky's desk. My desk is over there. That's the little desk, but we sit here and we really have an opportunity to create a lot of things. A lot of the ideas, Ike Live, Bash University, the Ike Foundation. A lot of those ideas happen right here in the office. Just kind of going back and forth, throwing some ideas out there. So this is a cool place because a lot of the business happens right here. Talk about memorabilia. You know, it's nice to have an area where you can reflect on a lot of your success. But before we get to my trophies, I got to show you this one. Good. This is Becky's trophy. This is all the way back from 1992, and this is one of her gymnastic trophies. Pretty good gymnast back in the day. But, you know, start on the desk here. A lot of people forgot, guys. I actually did fish Major League Fishing, Bass Pro Tour. I did fish over there at one time, and I did win 2 cups. So it's cool to have these. You know, I fished some other circuits, but this is the area that's real special to me. And kind of these bookends, these were childhood dreams for me. This one especially winning the Bassmaster Classic in 2003. Honestly, it never gets old looking at this trophy. I can close my eyes and remember being 12, 13 years old, watching some of my heroes win this event, hoisting that trophy over their head. And to actually get to do it, to succeed as at one of your dreams, it never gets old to look at that trophy. You know, this is the other one. This is the 2006 Bassmaster Angler of the Year trophy. That's an important one. I think if you're an angler, I think consistency over the course of a year, being the best angler in the world in a given year is a big deal. And in 2006, over 11 events, you know, I came out as Angler of the Year. So that's real cool. And actually, there's the hat that I wore that entire season. Torn, ripped, sun faded. Really reminds me a lot of the year. Come over on this side. This is a really cool trophy too. Of all the trophies, this one's got a lot of meaning. And this is one of my Bassmaster Elite trophies, but it was from the Delaware River. And I can tell you that winning at home in front of your family and your friends and the home crowd, it's such a special feeling. So we've got that trophy there. And then above it is a really cool photo of that event. Sea of 20, 30,000 people. And if I didn't win that event, those fans probably would have killed me. It's not a joke. Some of the other trophies are cool too. I did, you know, get a professional kayak event win. That was really cool. To me, the kayak win, they're as important as some of the other ones. And, you know, we sprinkled the other ones in the back. You know, some open wins, an FLW championship win, my other elite wins. Even the old school wins are important. That's my first Redman win. All the way back, we look, 1998, Lake Champlain, back when there was Redman tournaments. I won a spittoon. That's pretty cool. So it's just nice. It's a nice feeling to look around and look at some of your accomplishments. All right, before we leave the home office, I got to tell you, pretty much a geek too. And I have a really weird obsession with collecting old ink bottles. As I know what you're thinking. This is weird. This is strange, but my uncle got me into this hobby. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And even as an old guy, I still like to collect ink bottles. All right, enough of the home office. Let's keep going. All right, guys, after that little look at memory lane of tournament fishing, I want to welcome you to the studio barn. Come on, let's go. All right, guys, this is the barn studio, and a lot of cool stuff happens here, and there's a lot of cool stuff in this space. Of course, shout out to Becky for really designing this to be sort of an eclectic mix of a little bit of lodge feel with a lot of cool fishing memorabilia. This is the Wall of the Dead, as I like to call it. And of course, it's a nice mix of mounts, not all caught by me. Some of them are flea market finds, but it is really cool to see some of these different species that guys catch. So the wall of mounts, as we go down, our little Foxy right there, jackalope, shot by me. And then this wall unit's got a lot of really cool Ike Live memorabilia. We've got really cool art carvings that were made for us and sent to us. So cool that fans will send stuff. There's a pro skateboarder signed that for me for Ike Live. And if you look here, really, really cool piece. 3 heavyweight belts that I've accumulated over the years. And if you're not familiar with that, that means you catch over 100 pounds during the event, usually 4-day tournament. So the heavyweight belts are cool. Guys, I got to show you this. One of the big reasons I even got started fishing, that's my grandfather. We called him Pop. And if you look, he's sitting on an old toilet trout fishing off a dock. And honestly, giant inspiration for me. One of the reasons that I started fishing. So thank you, Pop. I love you. You're going to see this old, looks like a fish head, and my face goes in the front. If you remember some of the old Berkeley commercials, that was from the old Berkeley commercial. and then a picture of Benny Hill. Shout out to Benny Hill. We're gonna keep coming over here, guys. We've got some other cool stuff. We've got an Evan Rude motor. Look at that thing. Probably from the 40s or 50s. Really cool piece of memorabilia. We have a bearskin rug that my friend Tom shot. He's nice. He just hangs out. It's got a little jaw damage, but not too much. Then we've got, and if you look too, guys, we've got cameras everywhere. So we've got main shot cameras. There's cameras on the walls. So we can do a lot of different stuff here with filming. All right, guys, we got the fireplace. Some really cool pieces of memorabilia. This big giant bird was carved for me and given to me when I won the FLW Chevy Open on the Potomac River. That's really cool to see that sitting here by the fireplace. There's a picture of course, Mark Jeffrey's grandfather from the 1890s. And then we've got this giant rack. Look at the rack on that deer. That was shot right here in the backyard. So a lot of the Ike Lives that we do, guys, they happen right here. We've changed the format of Ike Live a little bit, so I do a lot of one-on-one interviews with people. I get to sit here and dive into topics, their lives, the fishing world, and we get to do that a few times a month, and that's super fun. All right, guys, I hope you like this studio. It's a cool space, little bit of business, little bit of work, and of course, all the Ike Lives happen right here. All right, guys, welcome to B3's Basement Bar. This is the fun area of the compound, and a lot of cool stuff has happened here over the years. First and foremost, this bar area built exclusively by my good friend Brian the Carpenter. You know Brian from Ike Live. And speaking of Ike Live, when I look at this bar, I think about a lot of good nights, a lot of parties, but I think about a lot of old Ike Live after parties that happen right here. The stories, the memories, the games, the fun, and the beer happen right here. The old Ike Live studio, man, if you're a fan of that podcast, it was a magical 8-9 year run, and it all happened right there. This is the old Ike Live studio. Guys, unfortunately, a water incident changed this room, and now it's turned into the theater room, and it's really for the kids. It's not even for Becky and I, it's for the kids. Theater room, watching movies, playing games. It's a cool space. Do I miss the old Ike Live studio? A little bit, but a theater room is pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. You heard me mention it. This is B3 Basement Bar. And some people say Becky's Basement Bar or Becky's Big Butt. It's one of the two. I'm not sure. But we've got shuffleboard. We've got a pool table. Of course, the old school 80s video games. Pac-Man, Frogger, Attack from Mars Pinball. Come on, I'm an 80s kid. All right, this room in here, I'm not even going to go in because I don't ever step foot in there. But this is the gym. This is definitely not my space. It's Becky's space. So she's fit. I'm not. I'm overweight. It's fine. I'm not going in there. All right. Last but not least, down here, we've got the wine cellar. And there is a wine collection behind that door. But this is the new space for my DJ equipment. So if you hear loud music on a Friday or Saturday night, old hip hop, old house music, it might be me spinning some records. All right, guys, you've seen most of the compound, but now I want to show you why I'm really here. Do me a favor, grab an adult beverage with me and come on out to Lake X. All right, guys, before we go out to the lake, I do want to show you a little bit of the yard. And this is the pool area. This is where in the summer we could come and hang out, do a little swimming, start a fire pit, watch some TV. It's a good area between tournaments to just hang out and rest. You're gonna see one of my most favorite areas in the entire yard, and this is the koi pond. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you today. You guys hungry? You guys hungry? Hi, how you doing? Oh, thank you. That's right, I let the koi do my nails. Mani Petty from the koi. Here you go, guys. Here you go, guys. I just happen to have koi food in my pocket at all times. Whoa, all right. Come on, keep following me. We're gonna go down the path. And by the way, Becky designed all this. She's a pretty amazing landscape architect, but this is one of her favorite areas. And we call this the Italian garden. And if you look, we've got a couple little healthy things here in the yard. Of course, we've got the sauna. It's a wood barrel, cedar barrel sauna. Get nice and hot. And then when you're done doing that, get in the ice pod and freeze your nutsack right off and get nice and cold. All right, come on, keep going. All right, guys, if you look, when the kids were real little, we gave them their own area because they tried doing everything we were doing with digging in the yard. That area is called Shantytown. And right next to Shantytown, we've got the mega fire pit. Guys, I'm telling you, 20, 30, 40-foot flames on this thing sometime, especially when it's cold in the fall and early winter. All right, now we're gonna head over to a little shack that sits in the woods right on the lake, and it's called the Lake House. All right, on my way over, I gotta mention the signs. If you look, there's a lot of them on here. And Becky and I renew our vows every year. Every time we renew our vows, we write the place that we went. So Grand Cayman, Chicoteague Island, Prince Edward Island, Pink Sand Dunes, Harbor Island, Napa, California. Every place that we've renewed our vows, we add to the sign. The Lake House. And we designed this with two things in mind. First one, when the kids were little, we gave them some stuff. There's a slide, there's a climbing wall. But honestly, the second reason for this lake house, Becky and I to come down, have a cocktail, smoke a cigar, chill out in front of the lake, relax, hang out, and enjoy the waterfront view. All right, guys, but the real reason that all this happened, this compound, this property, the reason for it is right out there, Lake X. It is for sure one of my most favorite places in the whole world. It's a place that I fished as a kid, and all these years later, as an old guy, I'm still getting to fish here. So Lake X, typical South Jersey lake. But guys, here's the cool thing about this place. When I was 14, 15, 16 years old, I used to sneak on this lake and fish it as a kid. We would wade around the banks and trespass on Lake X. And now I live here, come out back, test lures, catch fish, enjoy the lake every single day. For sure, Lake X, this property, it's the marquee. It's the reason I live here. All right, guys, don't forget, if you want a chance to win a boatload of my 3 confidence baits, click on the details below. We're going to be giving 5 of you an opportunity to win all that amazing tackle. I hope you enjoyed this tour, but I'm done talking. I'm ready to do some fishing. Let's see if we can catch a big one right off the dock here at Lake X. Ah!